there. There's the disclaimer, and we go 3, 2, and 1. Mayor Wiza, welcome. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Thank you very much. I guess I could probably drop this bombshell right now.
Okay.
I've taken another job.
Okay.
I'll be moving out of the state. My last day in office will be actually this Friday.
Okay. Oh, wow. This is quick.
Yeah.
Hang on. I got my sources are telling me that Mayor Wiza is entering the World Series of Poker and is moving to Las Vegas to begin warm up and practice games. I didn't know you had a poker face like that.
Well, I do. It's always, I always look the same. I got the same dumb look on my face. But we went out there for a conference a couple of weeks ago, and I can't think of a good poker player's name right now.
Phil Hellmuth. Actually,
Chris Moneymaker.
that's
Chris
yeah,
Moneymaker. I ran into
too.
him in the bathroom
Sure.
at the El Cortez, and he said, "Hey, you're Mike Wiza, aren't you? That famous mayor from Stevens Point."
He's got
And
one
I
of your
said,
pens.
"Well, yes, I am." And he says, "We're looking for a new poker player. You know, can you quit your job, move to Vegas, chip in a chair, and we're going to do it on April Fool's Day."
All right. Yeah, and Moneymaker was there, Phil Hellmuth, Mike Matisow. They were all at the table, and I'll tell you what, I actually saw the event. Mayor Wiza held his own. You
Great. I
bluffed
appreciate that.
that pocket aces perfectly.
You were my fan club.
And then you laid the cards down when you knew you were beat. Just like we've been lying to everybody else here.
Exactly.
What I did there.
You gotta love it when Mayor's Monday appears on April 1st, right?
Absolutely. And for those of you wondering, we didn't even coordinate this before it started.
Oh no, that was
We did
completely
not.
impromptu.
Mr. Wiza laid it down and I picked it up and we knew exactly where we were going. Well, Mayor Wiza, we always appreciate the time. You're not quitting on the city of Stevens Point.
No, I would never do
Especially
that.
when you've got an extra $300,000 in your budget that you found in the
Well, we didn't find it.
in the
Mother
pocket
Nature kind
pants.
of gave it to us, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
we
indeed.
you know, with the unseasonable weather we're talking about, with the climate change and global warming and trying to reduce our carbon emissions, I got to thinking that wow, this winter has been so mild. Let's look at some of the numbers. So we put together a list of the number of events. Now this is a little over a week old already. So we did have one more snow event in there. But last year we responded to 22 different snow events. We salted and scraped 14 times, and we had 8 all-city cleanups. We are less than half of that for this year. Just snow falls at different times. So less responses. That means that we saved almost 6,000 gallons in just diesel fuel for our plow trucks.
Wow.
That's insane. So the fuel savings equates to only about $23,000 roughly that we saved in fuel, but that's over 130,000 pounds of carbon that we didn't put into the atmosphere. So, I mean, that's a really big silver lining. The salt, of course, we've already purchased the salt, but we haven't had to use it. Last year, we used about 2,500 tons. We are right around 500 tons this year so far, which is a direct savings of about $195,000 in just salt. Not to mention the sand. Last year, I think we used about 1,700 tons. This year, we're closer to 350 tons, and the brine is less than half. So that's not a direct dollar savings that we could put towards something else, but that's less money we're going to have to spend on salt for the next season. So that money can be reallocated, and we may get another couple blocks of road repair done. We're talking about blades and parts and labor, maintenance on the snow plows and things like that. We estimate we saved about $34,000 just from the less wear and tear on the vehicles and less replacement parts as compared to last year. So, if this is an unseasonably warm weather season, I'm personally okay with that. I know it affected a lot of businesses. The governor has declared a state of emergency in most of the Wisconsin counties because there are a lot of businesses that rely on that snow for tourism, ice fishing events. Boy, I don't think there were any ice fishing fishing
Right.
events. They all had to modify and adapt because the ice wasn't safe enough to have anything. But if there is a silver lining to this global crisis that we're seeing, it's helping out the city budgets a little bit too, about $330,000.
And of course we also want to emphasize that residents, shouldn't expect a refund check in the mail because of this, because in some instances as well, the city actually, that money that you put in the street maintenance account, if you will, you put a lockbox around that, so that way when there is an abnormally snowy and cold
Right?
and bad winter,
Mhm.
you aren't dipping into the city's, general savings account to pay the
Right.
overtime and the wear and tear on the vehicles. So this money essentially is going to, may in some cases, will roll over to next year.
It will, and like I said, the salt is already bought, so we can't like return it and get our money back. So we'll just save it for next year, which is very likely going to result in some additional savings. But really, what it does is that because Mother Nature's been so crazy, I mean, she's been throwing around temperatures like Powerball numbers:
No,
17, 48, 52, 23.
no doubt.
Um,
Yeah. So,
but it did save the city some money, so we're going to be able to stretch that budget a little bit further, fixing more potholes. Because of this less of a freeze thaw cycle, we should probably see less potholes this year too, giving us an advantage to get on some of those a little bit quicker. Now we still have a finite amount of staff. Nobody was sitting around doing nothing. We were just getting to things that we normally wouldn't have time for.
mhm.
So it's good all around.
Yeah, I'm sure the shop looks cleaner than it has in a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. Actually, I haven't been in the shop in a while, but probably because
Yeah.
you don't all have all that salt and slop either, too. Because we have to wash those trucks to keep the bodies in good
Oh yeah.
shape, and there's less of that because they've been out on those salty, snowy, slushy roads.
Hmm.
So that helps too. Less mailbox replacement this year. Every once in a while, it
Yeah,
happens.
indeed.
The plows get a little too close to a mailbox, and we take it out. We replace them. We,
Hmm.
we fess up to it. We get them replaced, but that's a cost too. So we include
Hmm.
that normally in our plow budget, but we've had to do less of that this year.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's great to see, that aspect of it, and good news for the taxpayers, which doesn't always come up every day. So when we do have that, we got to celebrate those wins for sure. And of course, more
Yeah.
money coming into the city in a couple of weeks. Stevens Point about to become the trivia capital of the world. Do you have a celebrity trivia master coming in this year? I know you've had Ken Jennings in the past. Is
Ken
one of the
Jennings
other?
came and played one year, and he says, "No, no, you guys are way above what I can do."
Yeah,
No, I'm
no,
kidding, of course.
right.
He came here to do some research for a book. If you haven't heard, he
Uh-huh.
wrote a book a while ago called Brainiac. You can still find it in bookstores or online.
Mhm.
And in there is a whole chapter about his experiences playing the Stevens Point Trivia Contest with us.
Yeah,
So that's kind of cool. I thought about, calling him and see if he could get me in on Jeopardy, because we're old friends.
of course. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, 12,000 players, 350 teams, the entire city of Stevens Point and surrounding communities go trivia crazy. It'll be April 12th, 13th, and 14th this year, just in time for tax day.
Hmm.
And we start off with a parade at 4 o'clock, running through the university area predominantly, throwing tons of candy. And we have Dave Coulter's DAC, who's writing the contest now. He'll be in the parade with us. Get that kicked off at 6 p.m. Friday. Those famous words will once again bounce over the airwaves. There's a tension in the air. It is
Yes.
now 6 p.m. on Friday. Get ready to play the world's largest trivia contest. So
Hmm.
pretty cool stuff. I look forward to it. We hosted at my house where the Franklin Street Burnouts. We've done pretty well over the years. I personally have been involved for about 47. This will be 47 years for me.
Hmm.
This year's theme is very superstitious. So I think that
Not
we're gonna have
just
to use
dishes.
we're gonna get some tarot cards, hire a psychic, and actually know what the questions are before they're asked.
Hmm.
So I think we got a good edge this year. We're
Yeah,
gonna make that happen.
absolutely. And Mayor Mike, I think one thing that you and I talk about often with this, but it's the one aspect of this that just blows my mind more than any other, and it's the fact that there are teams participating in this game that started together at the UWSP dorms back in 19 insert two digits here. You just mentioned you're going on 40, 50 years playing this game. This isn't something that you just play off and on or if you have time. This is a family reunion. It is on the calendar. You plan other events around this weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. You plan family events and weddings. I had one friend who I'll forgive him because he's passed on now. But he had a wedding on trivia weekend. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He wasn't from the area, to
Uh-huh.
be fair. He was from Arizona. But yeah, he had a wedding, so I did show up as a good friend would. But I had my radio headphones on and my cell phone, so I could play remotely from the wedding reception. But
Sure.
it's one of the cool things about trivia that I tell people all the time is it means something different to everyone, but that bond of trivia is something that is universal. So the Harley Davidson motorcycle riders, right? You're riding down the street, you give the two finger
Exactly.
salute. It's a family, you don't even know who's on that bike. But when you talk about trivia, it comes up in conversation a lot. It's, oh, what team do you play for? Some teams are in it to party. Some teams play for a little bit, go to sleep, get lots of sleep, wake up on Sunday well rested. Some of
Uh-huh.
them stay up all night. Some of them are real diehard, by the book, straight laced players. But they all have that passion for trivia, and whether you've played it once or 1,000 times, well, I guess you could have played it 1,000 times. You could play it 53 times.
Yeah, 53 times.
It,
Yeah.
it leaves an impression on you. And like I said, even if you've only played it once, uh, you carry that with you for the rest of your life. Ask Ken Jennings.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And what does it mean for the city then? Now we know what it means for you. What does it mean for the city? Well, it means some extra tax dollars, and
Yeah,
it means that it's something that, as you said, puts you on the map. Yeah, I knew about world's largest trivia contest in Stevens Point before I knew where Stevens Point was.
you know. Yeah, and that's a big thing. Every single business gets involved. When I explain it to people, I tell them every marquee has got something about trivia on it. The community is so supportive. Even if they don't play, they play a role. I couldn't even tell you how many times we call some of the area grocery stores or gas stations to ask what the third ingredient on a Snickers bar is, because that's one of the questions that Oz had asked. And the stores are ready for that. They put on extra staff to answer phones and go run and see what game is on the back of the cereal box with the new Captain Crunch or whatever it happens to be. And the cool thing about it is all of our area stores are very familiar with it. All you got to say is, "Hey, I'm playing trivia," and they're like ready to go. You try and get out of central Wisconsin and let's say, I don't know, call a convenience store in Minneapolis to try and find the answer, and it takes you 20 minutes to explain what the heck you even want. They think you're a bunch of crazy people.
Right.
So yeah, Hoarders of the World Unite Trivia Weekend coming up April 12th, 13th, and 14th this year.
Yeah, and it's always a great weekend in Stevens Point. It's right up there, I'm guessing, for you with like graduation weekend.
Well, for me personally, I only did that once. So this
Right.
one I've done 53 times or whatever it happens to be. But yeah, no, for the community, it's that big. And if you remember back in 2018, we had a vicious snowstorm on trivia weekend.
Oh
We also
yeah.
had a pretty large basketball tournament on campus.
Hmm.
There were probably an extra 10,000 people in the city, and we had 22 inches of snow. Talk about a potential disaster, but everybody was inside playing trivia, and by Monday the snow was gone, and we went about our way.
Yeah.
So, bad weather is kind of gotten a synonymous relationship with trivia. It always seems to be crappy weather during the parade, but one of these days we're going to have a really nice, sunny, mild day, and everybody's going to have fun. It might be this year.
It might be. Yeah, indeed. And you've got a couple other scavenger hunts as well with the parks department going on right now. These are actually in progress. I'm sure
Yeah.
somebody's maybe listening to the podcast and actually looking for something in the city parks right now. Is that correct?
That could very well be happening. So we had our downtown Easter egg hunt on Sunday, that our Saturday rather. That was a pretty good turnout. over 10,000 eggs. There was 8 bikes, I think, that were given away, and a bunch of other prizes from community businesses. But the Parks Department has been doing this since COVID. It's more of a scavenger hunt. So it's a Easter themed related scavenger hunt, and we give you clues to find the starting location. And at that starting location, you can then get the next clue, which will lead you to the next clue and the next clue and so on. So you can make an afternoon of it. You can take your time over the course of a couple of days. It runs until April 14th. And you can find information about that on our Stevens Point Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Facebook page. It's all over social media. You can check our city website, or I imagine you could probably call the Parks and Rec department and they'll tell you. Since we're already kind of far into it, I'll tell you that the starting location is one of our oldest parks. And it's also the one with the longest name. So yeah, you can, one word last name, named after one of our settlers.
Okay.
Believe it or not, it ends in an SKI.
I have no problem at all believing that. In fact, I just learned that there is a Polish Hall of Fame in Michigan, and you only need to be 50% Polish to be inducted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm like 98% Polish. What do I got to do to be inducted?
I'll write a letter.
All right, there we go. You nominate me.
I will write a letter.
And I can be in the Polish Hall of Fame.
There's
That'd
probably
be kind of cool.
be a Portage County wing, but I digress.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of parks, one last thing that I think people should be aware of, other than vote tomorrow. Tomorrow's election day. Get out and vote. We're offering free city bus rides in the city of Stevens Point to make sure you have another opportunity to get to the polling locations should you need that. But Wednesday, we have the Parks Commission meeting, and we've had an alderperson request that we run a road through Buchel Park. Again, another one of our oldest parks. It doesn't end in an SKI, so you know that that's not the clue.
Right.
But yeah, putting a road from Walker Street all the way through the park into Old Wausau Road. So that's going to be considered. Of course, none of the city staff are supportive of it, but we're going to hear more on that at the Parks Commission meeting on Wednesday at 6 p.m. So if you have concerns about the north side or Buchel Park or running a road through a park, you may want to contact your alderperson, or you may want to show up at the meeting. You can certainly send your comments via email, mwiza@stevenspoint.com. I'd be happy to share those on. But if you've got thoughts and concerns about that, please let us know. Mayor
Wiza, we always appreciate the time. Always appreciate the good humor as well, especially on this April Fool's Day. And we look forward to chatting again next month, no matter what was said at the beginning of this video.
All right. We'll see you next month.
All right.